go, everyone. Alright, so I am starting. I was going to use this on a different project, this piece that I'm currently working on. I'm using an embossing folder, and it's made by Couture Creations, and the name of the embossing folder is Vintage Dressmaker, and it's absolutely beautiful. It's got all these cogs and this pretty like wings behind it. So it's a really pretty embossing folder. So I've never used it. I'm like, oh, well, let's try it. I got it from a friend. So I used peacock feathers, distress ink, and pumice stone distress ink, and just pounced it in there. I'm doing like a letterpress technique, and I'm doing it on sticky back canvas by Ranger. And it came out, and I thought it was pretty, but I was like, oh, it needs to be grunged up a bit. So I took the pumice stone with my ink blending tool and just distressed it a little bit and tried getting it to where I liked it. This is the project I was thinking about using it on, that canvas, and it turned out I didn't like it. So I die cut the Spellbinders dies from Spellbinders, and these ones are the Sprightly Sprockets. They're designed by Donna Salazar. I love these gears. They're absolutely gorgeous. I have the Tim Holtz ones, but these are the ones I reach for. They're just gorgeous. I mean, they're beautiful. So just picking out the die after I first die cut it, and then I used the sandwich to emboss with your Spellbinder dies. So they're slightly embossed as well. As you can see, I didn't know what my sandwich should be because I cut through my embossing mat. Oh well, it still works. So just die cutting and embossing again, some more of those dies. I had no mojo that day, so that's pretty much all I got around to doing in that day. Then I went on to a new day. So this particular page I made after I got a message from a certain somebody on Facebook, and that certain somebody is France Papillon, and she sent me a message and asked if I would like to participate in her 100th Journal on Monday celebration. I said, absolutely. So I was honored and floored and flabbergasted and all those other words that just, yeah, I was just shocked. So I'm using Vintage Photo, and this is a piece of 6x6 designer paper. It's by Bo Bunny. I want to say it's the Etc. line. So I'm making this page kind of not in France's style, but inspired by France. Not the country, the person. So she's very vintagey, she's very grungy, but I didn't want to do something that looked like I was trying to copy what she was doing. So I used Vintage Photo around the edges of this paper, and then some broken china in the middle, then did some water splattering. And then I started looking for some more papers. Now, the base that I'm using is part of my Prima art journal, and I really like this art journal. The pages are weird because they kind of look like index cards. So a few people are like, oh, I love this index card. And I'm like, it's not an index card, it's an art journal page. And there's really no big difference. It's just bigger. So, yeah. So anyway, you can tell the size of it. Look at that's the regular distress ink pad. So I think it's like 5x9 or something. I don't know, some weird size. So all of this is just, I'm just trying to figure out placement for all of this paper. And I'm using distress ink, again, Vintage Photo, going around all of the edges. And I'm kind of crinkling it, as you can see by that piece that's already up in the top corner, and I'm doing right now. I'm crinkling it and then inking the edges, so that way the edges look worn and torn, and just making it a little bit more vintage looking. And then I ironed it flat. And I always iron the back side. For some reason, the distress inks, if you iron the front, they tend to fade out a little bit. I don't think they can handle the heat. They can't handle the heat? Iron the back. So, yeah, I'm just playing around with colors, and I still had that dress form. This was probably three days later, after I'd made that dress form out of the sticky back canvas. And when France sent me that message, I was like, oh, perfect, I have the perfect start to this. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I still had no clue. So, yeah, I tore a little chunk out of the paper and inked the front and then inked the back as well. So that way I could kind of curl it to make it look like it was a little bit of torn paper. So I am using score tape, or it goes by so many different names. It's made by Suquang. It's the super, super, super strong double stick tape. I love that tape. It's stronger than ATG, but it tears like ATG would. So it's awesome. I love it. It's perfect for mini books if you're a mini book maker. See, there I'm inking the back of the paper so that way when it curled forward it still looked brown. And I'm just trying to figure out where I'm going to place everything. So yeah, congrats to France on her 100th journal on Monday. I can't believe it. It feels like I've been watching her forever. She's been one of my big inspirations. You know, you watch people on YouTube, and especially in this community, we're a fairly small community on YouTube, and you forget sometimes that, you know, the big people in art journaling started somewhere too. And so it's really cool seeing all of her progression, watching her on YouTube, and you know, seeing the stamps she's designed and all the cool techniques she's found over the she's great. So yeah, so congrats to her. Woohoo! And I am still taping. And by the way, I covered up the holes on this page, so I'm gonna have to punch some holes in the top. Oh well. At least I didn't do this page upside down. So I guess I'm texting. So that's what I look like when I'm texting. And just messing around with some of the edges and blah blah blah. Texting still. Talking. As you can tell, I talk with my hands. I know it's going to shock you, but yeah, my hands are everywhere when I talk. So this piece, I was loving it, but I wasn't loving it on this particular page. So I took some Distress ink in Vintage Photo and tried darkening it up and thought, oh, that's a little bit better. So these are the gears that I cut out, and I just used some blue cardstock, and I inked them up in Vintage Photo, and I think I used Broken China and pumice stone. I'm just grunging them up. They got sat in some water, especially that big one right there, so that's why I didn't ink up that one part, because I knew I was going to end up cutting it off. Some of them got wet, so I didn't want to use those parts because it looked gross. It just, the dye from the paper collected and it started turning bluer than I wanted, so because otherwise I probably would have used it even if it got wet. But the coloring was all wrong. It was just all wrong. So yeah, still just inking stuff up. So this particular page on video, when I had recorded it, it took me 2 hours to make this. Or at least I had 2 hours of footage. Some of it was texting, some of it was talking, some of it was, you know, doing other stuff. So, but a good portion of it was making this page, and you'll see why some of it took so long in just a second. So I'm using some Aleene's tacky glue, and just gluing these gears down. And I think it probably took me 4 or 5 working days, as in like actually coming in and working on it, to finish it all together. That's from the inception, from embossing the sticky back canvas and all the way till the end. The last day I worked on it was Friday, August 1st. So, which, by the way, was the night of the Gaga concert, which I did not have tickets for. I went to the one in July. So she was here like 2 weeks ago, then she came back, and I didn't have tickets for that one, so I was sad and weepy. And I kept looking at my wife and was like, Jen. She's like, there's nothing I can do about it. I'm like, there was lots of heavy sighing going on. She's like, well, at least I like it when you whine to me for this reason, because normally I whine to her and say, I want to go to Blick, I want to go do this, I want to go do that. And so she gives in to me because I get whining. This time she's like, there's nothing I can do about it. It's 7:30 and the concert's already starting, and even if you could go, you are not dressed, and yeah, so there you have it. It takes me a whole day to get ready for a concert anyway. Well, for a Lady Gaga concert. So I am inking the edges with Vintage Photo, just trying to tie in all those pieces together, gluing stuff down as I go. The sticky back canvas I had realized I hadn't glued down, so I just used a little bit of hot glue to set it in a couple places. And that sticky back canvas, once you get it wet, is not so sticky backed anymore. So all of that inking and everything, that kind of took its toll on the adhesive on the back. And this, I was just going through my rhinestone and bling bucket and trying to figure out what in the world I was going to put on this. And I found these little mosaic tile things. And I never trust the glue on these things. I just don't. I'm not a very trusting person, I guess. I would rather hot glue it, or Aleene's or something, but I've been reaching for my hot glue gun a lot. So I had the big ones and then like a smaller one, so I decided to use the big ones on the left, small ones on the right. No particular reason why, just kind of liked it. So there. Well, I could have done a better job editing this video, huh? Sorry. So, this is the Tim Holtz burlap stencil, and I'm just going here and there just to help blend in the two papers, and as you can see, I'm using my finger just to smudge out some of the ink while it was still a little wet. And now I am using Vintage Photo. I think that was walnut stain originally, so this is Vintage Photo, and I'm just creating some texture in the background. I know you can't see a lot of the design, but it's there, and it just kind of created some interest in the background. So I don't know what's up next. I didn't watch this first, because if you watch it and then record, it's like, oh, that's so much time. And I'm already releasing like, what, 2 videos this week, so yeah. Sorry about the editing. So that was Lumiere paint in some kind of like glacial blue, and it pulls silver. The blue kind of fades away. It's still kind of blue, and I'm painting an iCAD with the leftovers. I watered it down and then just splattered it, or spattered it. Spattered is more appropriate, I guess, but whatever. So this is the Stabilo All Pencil, and I'm using my water brush just to activate it. And when I do this, it absorbs, the All Pencil absorbs into the canvas, the sticky back canvas. So I'm not crazy about how this particular technique looked on this. I've used my All Pencil before, and it's been fine, but the absorbency of the canvas was so absorbent that it kind of sucked it right in. I was like, oh crap. So, I mean, it came out okay in the end, so no complaining here. No complaining. However, I will complain about having to go back to school. That's in like 3 weeks. So I need to get some videos edited and done. I've got a couple. I think I'm good through the first or second week in September. But I need to get some more done. So I showed you this. I stamped a Tim Holtz quote on the right in Black Archival. I'm going to end up covering that up with the same stamp, and I was just doing the art pop, and it doesn't matter. There you can see the shining from the acrylic. This particular portion of the video took up probably 45 minutes. So I sped this up, I think, 20 times as fast as normal. So it took it from like 45 minutes down to a minute and a half. What I'm doing is I'm taking my water brush and the brown, it was a dark brown Neocolor crayon, and I am coloring the raised points on the embossed canvas. This took forever. But I'm glad I did it because it helped the image to stand out. It was looking like a part of the background. A friend of mine was like, I like it, but it looks like a background image. And I'm like, you're right, it does. It needs some pop. It needs to stand out. So I was like, oh, I really don't want to do this, but this is why I don't color, because I'm lazy and I'm impatient. Oh God Almighty, I'm impatient. I just placed my first order from Blitzy a couple weeks ago at the request of my friend. She's like, "Oh, you should place an order because then I'll get a credit." And I was like, oh, I hate shopping online because it's not instant gratification. And I am Mr. Instant Gratification. If I want it now. Okay, so this is Crackle Accents. It's like glossy accents, but when it dries, it crackles. So this was also painstaking. This was the same night. I had infinite patience this night, apparently. So because the tips on these nozzles, on these big bottles, they dry out so easily and they get clogged. So I like to use I have the Tim Holtz like scratchy tool, and I use one of the little prongs and just push it down into it, and it usually helps. But then eventually the clog ends up going back into the nozzle anyway, so at a certain point I end up cutting the entire nozzle off, and then it's just this giant gaping hole. So anyway, I am doing the gears in the Crackle Accents, and again, must have had infinite patience that night. So there's the crackles, and then I'm taking my water brush and walnut stain distress ink, and I am going right over the crackles on these gears. And as you can see, it's helping the crackles to stand out, and it's aging those gears even a little bit more. They were very vibrant because of the Crackle Accents. It made the colors really pop and seem brighter. So I tried using a bigger brush, by the way, to try to see if I could just swipe it on easily, and yeah, it wasn't working. So I was like, okay, I'll just take the long way around. I've already been patient with this page as it is, so flipping it around, trying to make sure I stay in camera, and I think I do. I'm so proud of myself. So yeah, lots and lots and lots of distress ink, lots and lots of coloring. And at a certain point, the distress ink got too watered down, so I wanted it more intense. So I wiped it away. Did it again. I just patted some on my craft sheet, and then picking it up with a water brush. And then I cut the footage out of me doing this, but I heat set it, I dried it with my heat tool, and I took a piece of paper towel that had just a little tiny bit of water on it. I just spritzed a little water on it, and I just went over the top of it once everything was dry, just to take off the residual ink that was laying on top of these gears. But I think it really helped to pop those gears up a little bit. This is walnut stain distress ink, and I'm going right around the edges, just darkening it up even more. I'm telling you, I did so many layers and steps on this page. My wife, she goes, I don't think you can have this page back. And I said, Jen, there's a a started art journal page on the back, and she's like, no, I don't think you care, because I want this, I think. So I'm using the antiquities with Versamark. I stamped that same sentiment from Tim Holtz. I stamped it twice with Versamark, and I put some of the antiquities embossing powder in rust onto this paper from the same collection. And then I tore them out and decided which one I was going to use. So and if you want that raw paper edge like the white, so you can ink it up, tear towards you. Hold whatever it is you're going to keep and then tear the paper toward you. So just in case you haven't figured that out yet. You're welcome. See, people, this is free. This is free knowledge. So I like that better. I think the black was okay, but I wanted to stay in the browns. I almost wish I had edged the inked the edge of the dress form in brown instead of black, so that way I stayed all entirely in the browns. But oh well, shh, don't tell anyone. You won't tell, I won't tell. So I used some foam tape to pop up that sentiment a little bit just to give it some dimension, and there is the finished page. I think it came out really, really pretty. Not normal for me, as you know, since I don't mind going grungy and kind of girly, but I'm normally vibrant colors, bright, happy. So this one's for you, France. Congratulations on your 100th video, and we can't wait for the next 100. So keep going, girl. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please feel free to like, subscribe, share this video. Find me on Facebook, Imperfect Impulses with Aaron. Talk to you later. Bye.